Good morning, Sacramento. This is your host, JC. You can also call me Julio. This morning with us, we have a very dynamic group known as the United Latinos Promoviendo Accion Civica. With us today is their president, Ron Jimenez. Ron is a community activist at large. He has been a member of the Knights of Columbus for over 20 years. He's also been the former president of the Latino Junior Golf Association and of the California Mexican American Veterans Memorial Association. So, to give us a little more context about who United Latinos is and what they do on a regular basis, here's Ron. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, Julio. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
You know, our audience is really going to be interested in this because, as you know, this is an election year, and one of the key things we've been talking about is just not necessarily the politics of it, but the participation. One of the things that I recently was able to see was that there was a nice little pie diagram that showed that people who voted in this country for two parties or participated in the political vote was about only 60 to 55% of the actual population. More people didn't vote in this election than did vote, or just about. So, what does United Latinos do?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is provide voter registration for those that need to be registered. Once they register, they can vote. Latinos in general do not come out to the polling places during election year. And as you know, Julio, 2020 is a very important year, being a presidential race.
Absolutely.
So we are very adamant of getting individuals registered. 2 or 3 years ago, we registered approximately 8,000 people, and the good majority of them were Latinos. So we do want to get them registered and inform them how important it is their vote is in an election.
When you say that the vote is important and you're specifically working with Latinos, does that exclude everyone else?
No, not at all. But we want to have those that make up the majority of our population be able to vote for the candidate that they feel is right or a proposition that will directly affect them. Okay. So we're not excluding anybody, but we would like the Latino population to be more involved in the political process.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things that was being bandied about back about 5 or 6 years ago was that although you have now in California, especially, the majority of folks of Hispanic, Latino extraction, they participate at one of the smallest percentages. So there was a real danger of having disenfranchised people being governed by a minority group, if you will, and having the whole thing kind of not really represent the people they're supposed to be governing, especially when you have a republic.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, Julio, and I think a lot of these individuals that are making up the population of California that have come from Mexico or Central America, South America, they grew up in governments where there was a lot of distrust for the government. Mm-hmm. So I think coming over here, they're still not very sure if to get involved in the political process is safe, and it is a way to change things in their communities. So part of our tool for the community is to educate these individuals and to inform them that their vote does count. We tell them if you feel your vote doesn't count and you multiply that by 25,000 in your community, that could sway a result of a candidate that could be very good for the population or not good at all. So the vote does count.
Well, that's terrific. So give us a little bit of the impetus of the organization, like why it was founded and by whom, and then maybe share a little bit about what some of the historic successes have been.
Well, the United Latinos was formed approximately 10 years ago by a group of local Vietnam veterans that sat around the dinner table and decided that they were not being represented in their community. So they formed this organization to, A, register people to vote and provide a platform for those candidates to have questions asked to them and to see what the response was as they were running for political office of a city council seat, a school board seat, or even a mosquito abatement quality control place.
But no dog catchers?
Well, if they're elected officials, then they would be voted for.
Terrific. No, I've been to several of the events, and I know that you've had SMUD board members, and who really, I mean, I know we all vote for them, but I'm not even sure there's ever been a debate that's been on TV or even on radio in regards to the competition for those seats.
Right. That's something that we need to look into in our society, and have the face of those that are in the community be represented. If it's television, if it's radio, if it's anybody that's out there that people see, they view, we need to level the playing field, that those individuals see people of color like themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one quick thing I'm going to come back to, though, you said that you were mentioned folks who were essentially immigrated from other countries, and whether it was safe to participate in our participatory republic democracy. Is this only for folks who have recently immigrated to the United States?
No, I think a lot of the young individuals are just not too concerned about the political process. We do have organizations out there that emphasize to register to vote, to be a part of the political process, but I don't know why they won't do it. Why the kids, if you want to call it Generation X or the millennials, why won't they take politics seriously? Mm-hmm. Why do they not understand what some of these propositions are, and how can it affect them, their siblings, or their children in the future?
So in your stewardship of the United Latinos, you haven't been able to gain any insight into why there is that apathy?
Well, we've asked the question to the individuals, and they're all over the map in their response, and we really can't gauge if there's one certain thing. I personally feel it's a distrust of political officials, but that's my personal view. There could be a lot of factors that play into it that we're missing, or we just haven't connected the dots together with why they're not registering and going to the polls.
Conversely, through some of the work that United Latinos has done, have you figured out what does get people to come out and actually participate?
Well, I mean, I think if the proposition is something that's really near and dear to their heart, or an individual that's running for a political office that goes out into the community and mingles, and Julio, as they used to say, hold the baby, kiss the baby, pat the baby. Show the community that you're a real person. Show the community that you are truthful in what you say, and let them understand who you are by making a special appearance and going out there and meeting the people.
Okay, and then that kind of goes back to the whole notion of politics being retail, being that face-to-face, hand-in-hand exchange. Would you say that holds true still in this modern age with all the digital and the outreach and the social media, which is this faux virtual kind of stuff?
Yeah, I believe that's true. I mean, we have to look at technology in a positive way and how we can effectively use it. Where it's not going to be a tool that's going to work for everybody, but I think there's a way to get to the masses, and even the old way, there's still a lot of individuals that are, want to do stuff by paper. They don't want to do electronics.
Yeah.
So who do you spend all your efforts on and resources on to get the message? I personally would like to see more emphasis on the younger individuals, because they're our future, and they have to understand the paths that we're blazing for them, and those that have came before us. Like with the VFW, the United Farm Workers, They open the door for a lot of good things for farm workers.
Well, that's terrific. So, what would you say are some essential tools or items that's in the toolkit of United Latinos as they do their outreach?
Well, a lot of it is doing the town halls. We focus primarily right now in health and environmental justice. We're looking at a different concept that we had normally participated in of going into a community, gathering people and telling them, this is what we can do for you, where we fell on deaf ears and not asking those community people what their issues are. What do they expect from an organization like us to help them? So I think it's give and take on this is what we provide and can do for you, but we also need to know, are we doing the right thing? Are these the things that you are interested in? And by having that dialogue with them, we're understanding what their needs are. If it's, bad air, if it's immigration, if it's no grocery store in the community, a playground that's been blighted through the years of lack of funding. We want to hear those things and then partner with other organizations that can assist us and for the community.
So what have been some of your past associations and partnerships?
Well, currently we partnered with direct service organizations like La Familia Counseling Service. We participated in the Sacramento Latino Roundtable that was an offshoot of the United Latinos, and that's where we gathered different organizations, individuals, politicians to sit around the table and discuss issues that are important to the Latino community. So we've formed other groups. We've partnered with direct service groups, and a new one is the American Heart Association, where we were asked to sit on their strategic planning session, which was last night. And we found out that American Heart Association does not have a very diverse board, and all the participants in the strategic planning groups were people of color. My particular group had a Hmong individual, a Native American, 2 African Americans, a Caucasian lady, and a Latino male. So we, to me, represented the community in a very diverse way.
That's a nice breath.
And we told American Heart Association, if you'd like us to help spread the message of heart disease, hypertension, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, and you don't have an outreach vehicle, our organization can provide that for them.
So this sounds fascinating, and I know that I've been, full disclosure, I've been a past board member and I'm a current board member of this organization, and I found it to be ambitious when I first joined back in 2011. So I am a huge supporter of United Latinos. But if somebody wants to be a part of this group, what do you want from those persons seeking to become more active in the community?
Well, I think they have to understand what our vision and mission statement is and buy into that and understand, is United Latinos a organization for them? What have they done in the past that can bring their skill sets to assist us in our endeavors?
What is that mission and vision?
Well, the main thing is to, educate the community on civic issues, get them registered to vote, and to be a part of the political process. If a lot of individuals participated in organizations and understood all the concerns, we'd have a great society.
So, I think that's something I want to do as when we come back after the break and really hone in on what that participation looks like, and what exactly is required. Okay, so at this point, thank you, Ron. Let me go ahead and do a service announcement here for our station. You're listening to KUBU 96.5 FM, the voice of Sacramento. Besides being heard on the radio, cable, TV, or computer, our programs can be heard in an even easier way now. There's a KUBU app for your phone. Download KUBU 96.5 FM from the Apple App Store for your iPhone and or iPad, or from the Google Play Store for your Android and other devices. It's free. What more can you want? Come on, you want to download that. Once the KUBU 96.5 FM app is installed, it's just one button to listen to the KUBU from anywhere in the world. Easier than ever to take KUBU with you on the road. And thanks for listening to the Voice of Sacramento, KUBU 96.5 FM.
That way, I get a sweet, funny feeling that won't go away. Oh, baby, when you smile that smile, you make me want to stick around for a good long while. But my chances are slim to none, 'cause you're a girl who likes to have her fun. That I'm the one who loves you, baby. Hey, mama, when you call my name, I come running to you like I'm off to a flame. Feel good like $1,000,000. You make me want to scream. Make me.
Hi, this is your host, JC, also known as Julio, of The Weekly Context. The Weekly Context is a show dedicated to providing context to issues in our daily life, specifically Northern California, the Bay Area, and the Sacramento region. As a part of that effort, it is our desire to highlight community events, offerings, and or topics. We make public service announcement time available for you and the good works and celebrations throughout the entire Northern California region. If you would like to highlight your event, celebration, or group, give the Weekly Context a call. Let's talk about getting you on the air. Space is limited, so give us a call. Our number is 916-572-4144. You can leave a voicemail, or you can also write us at theweeklycontext@gmail.com. That's theweeklycontext@gmail.com. And we're back. Thank you so much for that. So, Ron, tell us a little bit about what you mean when you say get involved in the political process.
Well, we would like the individuals in various communities to understand the dynamics of what's going on in their community and how their city councilman or county supervisor represents their area or district. So if there's a concern that an individual has on maybe a environmental justice issue of a diesel plant being put next to a charter school or various other things that cause harm to individuals' health, get involved. We'll be glad to have you come aboard and fight those things and be a part of the process of understanding what the needs are.
So how do I get involved? Where do I start?
Well, the first thing is to visit the United Latinos website at www.unitedlatinos.org. We are on Facebook under United Latinos, and I believe we have a Twitter account. So those are good ways, or you can look at us. We're going to be having our first 2020 voter education forum Saturday, February the 8th at St. Philomene's Catholic Church on El Camino and Bell. It starts at 10 a.m. to 12:30, and we're featuring a couple Sacramento City Council races, a Twin Rivers Unified School District area seat, and a County Board of Supervisors seat, along with an individual to speak on Measure G, which is Sacramento Kids First.
And if I understand correctly, United Latinos is supporting that measure. Is that right?
Yes, we are part of that process. We feel that this is a very good initiative to take money from the general fund to support various youth programs. This is modeled after Oakland Kids First, which has been very successful. It's only 2% of the general funds, which I think comes out to about $12.5 million annually. And I do realize that there will be some cuts made in the city, but this is long overdue for our community.
So some of your opposition on that is former Mayor Heather Fargo, and also some folks, and I apologize, I forget the name of the lady who was from the library service, but they have some objections to that, especially as far as the way the legislation is written. Is that right?
Yeah, I understand that they feel that there's other ways to obtain funding for such programs. I think they also feel that some critical parts of the Sacramento City will be cutting funds for firefighters and police services, which I don't know if that's where all the cuts are going to come from. But and they're saying there's other ways of doing it, but I don't see any plans out there that are feasible that will work.
Okay. So let's take a look at the future then of United Latinos organization. Where does United Latinos see themselves in 5 or even 10 years from now?
Well, in 5 years, which is a long way out there,
goes faster.
We'd
than you
like
think,
to
buddy.
see 2,000 or 3,000 members that are participating in our efforts. Possibility of a satellite chapter in Stockton, California, where we see there's a great need. Hopefully we can be one of the vehicles in the community that's going to address a lot of the health and environmental issues. And Julio, when I mean health, I'd like to partner with various organizations and have the organization understand that all these issues of diet and exercise and asthma and cancer are related somehow in the food we eat, the air we breathe, and what's out there that's hurting us. And a lot of people will look the other way on what affects people of color and people under the poverty line that are poor, which these are the ones that are affected the most. So we see great participation and more partnerships with other organizations.
Sounds good. Next week's episode of the Weekly Context is going to highlight Chef Lizzie, who has a Instagram blog called Cocinando con Lizzie, and that's exactly what she's addressing, is how to cook healthy on a budget even.
Well, I think that's important, and one of the things that I stressed at the American Heart Association strategic planning session was getting young kids, and I'm talking elementary school and the younger kids, K through 6th grade, of healthy eating and exercise. Like I had mentioned earlier in the segment about modern technology can also be a negative. They're not running, they're not doing outdoor activities, and I think we can be a part of that by educating the community that put the phones down, get some fresh air, and hopefully that fresh air is clean fresh air and not toxic.
Well, yeah, and then you can even take the phone with you, though, if you really wanted
Correct.
to. But just get out and start moving.
Right.
Building those healthy habits first. So just like in that same sense, we come back to the beginning where we started with this show today, is getting out there and building that habit of voting and
Correct.
being participants in the civic space.
Be a part of your community.
Exactly. So any final thoughts?
No, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on to your show and be able to provide a little information on the history of United Latinos, what we're currently doing, and how we see ourselves in 5 years. And hopefully there'll be passionate individuals to take over the organization and carry on our mission and vision statement in the community of Sacramento.
Precisely, having longevity. And can you, one more time, can you give us a quick rundown on that voter education forum on February 8th?
Yes, Julio will be at St. Philomene's Catholic Church Saturday, February the 8th from 10 a.m. to 12:30. We will be having a continental breakfast and registration from 9:30 to 10. Teatro Nogal will do a little sketch. That's a local theater group headed by Mr. Richard Falcon and his group. And then we will have the candidates on, and we will be taking questions from the audience and pre-written questions on various topics of immigration, homelessness, health and environmental justice,
and education. Real quick, where's the church? What's the
St.
streets?
Philomene's Catholic Church on the corners of El Camino and Bell.
Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you again for being
Julio.
here. So, folks, that's the show for today. Again, if you want to get in touch with us or want to comment or want to get involved with some of the things that we have here on the Weekly Context, feel free to look us up. We're on Instagram as well, but can find us easier at Twitter and Facebook. We are at Weekly Context. Again, that's at Weekly Context. Or you can email us at theweeklycontext@gmail.com. Thank you.